And welcome to Hero Power. I'm your host, Avanties, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Zerotio.
What is up, gang?
And we have a great show lined up for you today. Not a lot of news to talk about, but we are going to take a look at some more Saviors of Uldum cards that were announced this week. So I'm pretty excited about that. How about you, Zerotio?
I'm excited. I've just got over a cold this week, so I'm a little NyQuil'd up, from last night. So I'm not quite awake this morning, but we'll make it work.
Little known fact: the only way we can get Zerotio to do the show every week is if he's a little NyQuil'd up. But whatever. So, all right, gang. We have no new emails or iTunes reviews this week, so we are going to jump right into it. This week, there was a Hearthstone Reddit Q&A. Zerotio, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we saw in that Q&A?
So they gave some details on, more details on, the new mechanics in Saviors of Uldum and kind of their thought process and different ideologies of some of the cards that they've revealed already. Like Questing Explorer was designed to aid with new quests in the Uldum set, but it can also be used with the old quests from Journey to Ungaro. So there's reminding people they can be used in Wild as well. And they also mentioned originally quests were more difficult to complete in general, and you tended to have to go all in with your decks built around them, and they're changing the way the new quests. You don't necessarily have to be completely invested with your deck into the quest, but also the power level is a little different. So they gave some class role details with the 4 League of Explorers. There really no real standouts. They did go into some of the mechanics, the keyword mechanic Reborn, and some of their thought process around that. But nothing really stuck out like they have in past Q&As where they had some major news drop or anything like that. So honestly, there wasn't much to read into this. And really, I'm not going to go into everything that wasn't a Q&A because I literally combed it and couldn't find anything that was real standout. So we'll leave the link in the show notes if anyone wants to check those out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's always kind of a bummer when they come out and like, hey, we're going to do an AMA, ask us anything, but we're not going to give you any new information. So, you know. But, all right. On the plus side, though, the Fire Fest-E.V.I.L has started. And, oh my gosh, is this Fire Festival been so awesome so far. So, just to recap, the Fire Festival will run July 10th through the 31st. At the time of this recording, we are 4 days into this event.
Yes.
There are daily legendary quests that you can get that yield gold. They yield packs of Saviors of Uldum. These quests so far have been awesome. And they're not difficult. It's like, okay, play 30 cards. Okay. So I mean, these are pretty straightforward, easy to do. And on top of that, we're getting 3 back-to-back-to-back weeks of themed tavern brawls.
Yeah.
So week 1, which started July 10th and runs through the 17th, is Blackrock Crash Week 1. Now, I don't know about you, Zerotio, but I think Joe Mag has absolutely outdone himself and blown the lid off of Tavern Brawls, because this is absolutely the most fun I think I have ever had since they introduced Tavern Brawls.
Yeah, Joe Mag is a wonderful, wonderful individual. He's a gem to the Team 5 team. I don't know if anybody knew this, but I met Joe Mag when I went to BlizzCon. If you didn't know, I went to BlizzCon this past year. For those that are new to the show, it's a meme. I talk about me going to BlizzCon all the time. Anyways, this Tavern Brawl was absolutely amazing. At first, when I heard about the herd about Dalaran crashing into Blackrock Mountain, I was like, oh, what do they do? They're really stretching to make the Fire Festival happen during this time. But honestly, they put a really good story around it, and they built this kind of like dungeon crawl, just like your dungeon runs from KNC, where Dalaran crashes into Blackrock Mountain, and then the League of Evil goes, well, let's go. While we're here, let's go ahead and get us through Blackrock Mountain, do what we can to dislodge Dalaran and get out of here. And we're in the first week where you can play one of the 4 League of Evil members aside from Rafam. And if you complete it, you get a special card back. Now, if you've already received this card back from a previous, I think it was one of the early seasons of Rake Ladder Play, it's the Blackrock Mountain card back. I'd already received it, so I didn't get it. But if you complete all 8 bosses in under an hour, you'll get a golden, I forget which one it was. There's a golden, I believe it's the dragon?
Yes. Yeah, it's the golden dragon if you complete it in under an hour, and it's the golden evil miscreant if you complete it in under 40 minutes. Gromok, yes. Thank you so much for the follow.
Not evil miscreant, it's the villain.
Oh, yeah,
recurring villain.
Okay.
Recurring villain. So Joe Mag has really knocked it out of the park. He's over the past 6 months, every time a Tavern Brawl comes out, he's constantly getting on Twitter and getting the community's feedback on the Tavern Brawl, whether they liked it or didn't like it, giving some kind of background story about the Tavern Brawls. And he's obviously doing just bang up job over there. If anybody on Team 5 is listening, that job needs to be secured by him because he is amazing at it.
So you guys know, if you guys haven't heard yet, Zerotio met Joe Mag at BlizzCon. However, there's no proof. I haven't seen any proof from Zerotio. In the meantime, here's me and Joe Mag from like 2016. So, Zerotio, I'm just saying, you need to throw up some proof.
Yeah, I'll have to dig through my BlizzCon pictures and pull out the one with Joe Mag. I know I got it in there somewhere.
But no. This week's Tavern Brawl is absolutely just top of the line, fantastic. They've done such a great job with it. And
a reminder, this Tavern Brawl is going through the 17th. That's right. You'll have a few more days if you're listening to this on the download, because if you hadn't heard, Joe Mag made it possible for Tavern Brawls to only have an hour downtime on Wednesday. So you can play this all the way up to Wednesday morning before they roll in the new Tavern Brawl, which is going to be Blackrock Crash Week 2, which is July 17th through the 24th. And then they're going to follow, and that's going to be similar to this week's, except you'll be piloting your runs with Rafam. So I'm guessing it's going to be more difficult or have a little bit more twist that you're only going to be playing one boss instead of 4 bosses. And then finally, the last one is the burn down, which I assume is going to be the last culmination of them either exiting Blackrock Mountain or finishing up whatever they're doing there to head to Uldum for the release, which is just a week after that.
Right, yeah. Real quick, I want to say thank you for the follow, Ahmed Adam 97. We appreciate it. Welcome to Hero Power. All right. So week 3 of the Fire Festival will introduce a new Tavern Brawl, which will run July 24th to the 31st. Now, is that correct? Is it the Burn Down?
The Burn Down, yes.
Okay. So we don't know much about that one yet, but stay tuned. Now, one of the other things they announced about this Fire Festival is that card reveals will be based on the number of bosses cleared by the community.
Uh-huh.
So, and what was the total number? 25 million bosses?
25 million bosses to reveal all 100%.
So, at 25% of 25 million, they're going to reveal a card. They already have. We'll talk about it in a minute. At 50% of 25 million, they'll reveal a card. Guess what? The community has already hit 50% of 25 million bosses. We'll show that card here in just a few minutes. 75% they will reveal a card. We're getting close to that number now. We're not there yet. And then at 100%, they're going to reveal a legendary card coming from the new set. So stay tuned. I guarantee we will hit that 100% before next week.
If you're a supporter of podcasts, of Hearthstone podcasts, you need to get in there and start hammering these out, because at 100%, not only are we getting a legendary card reveal, it's going to be done in the form of an interview done by the Angry Chicken. So not only will we get a legendary card, it will be revealed by a podcast. It's not very common for Team 5 to recognize and involve podcasts into these card reviews. Usually they just do streamers and media outlets. So it's really nice. Obviously, the Angry Chicken is the largest Hearthstone podcast out there. And you know, we're all kind of chasing their tails for viewers and whatnot. But at the same time, they represent us. So get out there and support our podcast community, because if we make this happen, who knows? They may say this is a great way to reveal. Let's involve a couple more podcasts next time.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And who knows? Hero Power might be in that mix. So definitely get out there and knock out some of those bosses. I know a lot of the members in the Hero Power Patreon community, which you can be part of over at patreon.com/Hero Power, and our Discord have just been blowing up with images of their completion rates. We have people completing as early as 24 minutes.
Yeah.
I was able to knock it out in my second run. Sure, I died on the first boss in the first run. I really don't count that. It was my first run. So I was able to do it in my first run with Dr. Boom, and I did it in 29 minutes. I think I've done 29 boss completions. I've been real busy lately, but I plan over the next few weeks, because while we hit the 50%, remember, this is a lot of people trying to hit their goals and get their rewards. So a lot of people are going to stop playing once they've hit their rewards. So if you are diligent and want to have this happen, and you like playing this brawl, get in there and keep going, because we need people to keep at this to finish that last. The last 50% is going to be harder than the first 50%.
I tell you what, I've done nothing but the brawl, and I plan on doing nothing but the brawl, because it's just been absolutely fantastic. And,
it's
I
a
look
ball.
forward to continuing it.
It's a blast.
Yeah. So, also, again, thank you, Gromok, for the cheer. We greatly appreciate that. San Diego Comic-Con is happening this week, if you guys were not aware. On July the 18th, from noon to 1 p.m. Pacific time, there will be a live Hearthstone panel with Dave Cossack and the voice actors behind 3 of the members of the League of Explorers. So we'll have the voice actor behind Sir Finley, Elise, and Bran, all there on stage talking about what it is to bring these iconic characters to life in League of Explorers, and now again in Saviors of Uldum. But not only is this panel going to be really cool, you're also going to get a sneak peek at 4 new legendaries coming out in the set. So we're going to have lots of new cards to look at this week and check out.
That's pretty big, because 4 new legendaries. We've already seen, 3 of the quests?
Yes.
And so that's 3 legendaries there. So we're going to be seeing a lot of legendaries really fast. Normally we have quite a few legendaries right at the end of the reveal. So it'll be neat to kind kind of pump these legendaries out.
Yep, and it's gonna be great because I have a feeling these legendaries may be tied to the voice actors who are playing the characters. So,
well, it makes sense. 4 new legendaries, 4 League of Explorers members. Maybe those are the legendaries that are going to show off. If you're going to show them, see, here's the thing I was worried about. I was worried they're going to trickle out the 4 different explorers. I was like, you want to have them all dropped at once because they tell one big narrative. So, what better place to do that than Comic-Con?
Right. Exactly.
I mean, that's the biggest of the big. And those people that are following the San Diego Comic-Con from the East Coast, like us, or anywhere else around the world, will have something to look forward to because we will know that 4 legendaries are going to drop between 12 and 1 p.m. Pacific time on the 18th. So that's some news.
The 18th is this coming Thursday. So
Thursday afternoon, listen for drops, or if you're part of the Hero Power Patreon Discord, definitely check out our SOE Images channel, where we drop those the minute we see them.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so that pretty much covers all the big news this week. We are entering into the Grandmasters playoffs, July 12th through the 14th, so it's going on right now.
Right now.
Zerotio, why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
So the finals are still going on. We have had some shakeups in the playoffs. Asia Pacific region saw Staz and Elutimu that are going to the finals. They played this morning, and or Staz, Elutimu, and Surrender and Shaxi have all gone on to the finals this morning. Surrender defeated Staz, and then Elutimu defeated Shaxi. And Elutimu has had a bang-up season. He's been really strong. He's somebody to watch. But in the finals, each region is going to get one person from their region to go to BlizzCon this year to compete for the championships over the Grandmasters. And Surrender defeated Elutimu to represent Asia Pacific there. Now, it doesn't mean that Elutimu's out. Season 2 is coming this fall, and they will have one more person from each region go in. But in the European region, they are about to start their finals now, and we have Phenomeno and Phenomeno is playing against Orange, and Hunter Ace is going to play against Psycho, and then those winners will play each other for the final spot in Europe, and then America's Frozen is going to be playing against Purple. That was a crazy bracket because it was Frozen, Purple, and Dog ended up losing in that area. And then it's going to be Eddie versus PNC. Eddie is also known as Soyun. He was in the THL community for a while. Eddie actually brought Holy Wrath Paladin. And it's really neat seeing it have success because he caught people off guard. I've seen a lot of really unique decks this weekend. And then the winner of those two will face each other for the final spot in Americas. Reminder, there's no relegation this season. Relegation meaning the bottom player in their respective leagues would be rotated out. But next season, season 2, there will be relegation. And we were talking about this before the show, is if we relegated right now, the bottom person in the Asia Pacific region in each division is Shansu and Pathra, with Pathra being the bottom of that entire region. And then in the European region, it's the two bottoms are Tice and Pavel, where Pavel would be the lowest based on tiebreakers, who's a former world champion. And then the last region in Americas, the bottom would be Zalay and Firebat. Firebat being in the bottom by one tiebreaker point. Not one game, one tiebreaker point, aside from Zalay. So, former world champions, facing relegation if it was to happen this season. So next season, we got to keep an eye on it. See if this changes. We definitely need some shakeup from those players, or they could be relegated and replaced by somebody else in the Masters pool, like somebody like Gallon or our friend of the show, Language Hacker.
Yeah, absolutely. That would just be crazy to have multiple former world champions get relegated out of Grandmasters. But that's what could happen. Season 1 has been good, but Season 2 is where they really turn up the heat and there are consequences. And I'm excited to check that out. So, all right. Well, that pretty much covers all of our news for the week. So we are going to now kick over and we're going to talk about some of these new cards that have been released this week. So with that, we're going to start with the first card I think that was released back at the beginning of this week, which was Earthquake. Now, Earthquake is a 7-mana shaman spell. It's a rare. Deal 5 damage to all minions. Then, deal 2 damage to all minions. Zerotio, does this card just have Death Rattle minions in its sots?
Exactly. That's what this is for. I think we're seeing some archetypes kind of come out of the limelight now that a few cards have been revealed. And clearly Shaman right now is really hooked into a aggro-centric meta. It's Murloc Shaman or this Overload aggro Shaman is kind of the domination of the meta in Shaman. Shaman's not really that high in the tier list as it is. But if you're going to play Shaman, that's what you're going to play. Control Shaman works, but it's missing some tools and suffers against decks like Token Druid or some of these smaller mech packages like Mech Hunter. But this card single-handedly deals with them. So I think they're trying to make sure Shaman has some good control tools. Now, what else they get for that, whether they get a combo to go along with that or something else, we don't know. So far, we've seen the quest deal with battle cries, and then this is a really good sticky minion disruptor, which we haven't seen many sticky minion disruptors outside of Priest. Priest usually is the only class that deals with sticky minion disruption, like the new plague that we saw that silences and destroys all minions, or Psychic Scream, which you don't have to deal with death rattles with that one either. So it's kind of interesting that they're giving another class a way to deal with these sticky death rattle minions.
Yeah, so I love this card. I'm super excited for the way it's going to shake up the meta. I think this card alone is going to... I mean, you see... I think the closest thing we can compare this to is the mage spell. Fire... Help me out. 7 mana, deal 4 damage to everything.
Oh, Flame Strike.
Flame Strike, yeah. But
kinda. It's better than Flame Strike.
Yeah, it's better than Flame Strike because it hits twice.
And the initial damage is one more.
Is 1 point higher. Yeah. So I mean, this card is just awesome, and I think it's gonna see a lot of play.
This is the removal Flame Strike wants to be.
Yes.
If Flame Strike is sitting in high school and wondering what it wants to do when it grows up, it's become a shaman.
It wants to be an Earthquake. Yeah. All right. Moving on, the next card we saw released this week was Imp Balming. So
first, before we get started, this card wins the name game.
Wins the name game?
Wins the name game. Imp Balming, it's the greatest play on words. I love it.
All right. So it is a 4-mana Warlock spell. It's a rare, and it says destroy a minion, shuffle 3 worthless imps into your deck. Is there ever a time where you're playing Warlock and you're like, man, I wish I had some worthless imps in my deck?
Well, worthless imps are just 1/1s for 1.
That's correct. And they count as demons.
What it does, more importantly, is it fattens your deck up for the quest. Now, obviously, if you still have these 3 imps in your deck when your quest is completed, it feels bad to draw them for 0 and have them cost 0 mana. But it allows you to fatten up your deck. So in a way, it's kind of a drawback, but at the same time, if you're playing a demon, quest centric, Warlock deck, 4 mana to destroy a minion is pretty premium. Normally, we don't see 4-mana destroy a minion unless you're destroying a mana crystal or having to sacrifice a minion or something like that. So this is really, really good costed spot removal.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely one way to look at it, and yeah, the Warlock quest is draw a bunch of cards, so yes, this does help in that category too. You know, you can always find a use for a 1-mana 1/1 minion, so definitely something to think about if you are playing with the new Warlock quest card.
Yep.
Next up, we have the new Mage quest, which is called Raiding the Sky Temple. So, as it is a quest, it's a 1-mana legendary card for Mage, and the quest is cast 10 spells. The reward is Ascendant Scroll. So, Ascendant Scroll is a hero power, 2 mana, add a random Mage spell to your hand. That spell costs 2 less. So
this is Primordial Glyph.
Yeah.
In a hero power.
Exactly. And you know, it's not hard for mages to cast 10 spells.
No, I think the question is a random spell, even if it's each turn, is a random spell really worth it? And I don't know if the random spell is so much the important part. It's more card value. Having an extra card in your hand for something like Mountain Giant, having another spell on the stack, a cheap spell on the stack for Antonitis. It's having that versatility. People said that random mage spells wouldn't be very good. Then all of a sudden, Mana Cyclones become super popular and probably the most played deck right now. So clearly, having random spells, regardless what the spell is, especially if they're reduced in cost, has a value. So I think this will get played. Whether it becomes top tier, I don't know. We'll have to see. But being able to cast 10 spells in a Mana Cyclone deck is nothing. It's easily done.
Yeah, and Mana Cyclone's one of the most popular archetypes out there right now. So you could see this slide right into that deck, no problem. So all right, moving on to the next, and I just have to say this next card has by far my favorite flavor text, maybe of any card ever made in Hearthstone. But this card is the Weaponized Wasp. It's a 3-mana rare shaman minion with 3 attack, 3 health. Battle cry: if you control a lackey, deal 3 damage. Not on top of all of that, this also counts as a beast.
Yeah.
And the flavor text is Rafam wanted a wasp with a frickin' laser on its head. And that's what the image is. It's a wasp with a Dr. Boom laser on its head, and it's phenomenal.
That's hilarious. And you imagine that some poor lackey is having to climb on this wasp to strap it on there. So that kind of gives you some mental images. I think this is going to be a good card. So far in the lackey categories of decks, Shaman doesn't really excel in lackey generation and lackey usage, like something like Rogue. However, they did say in the Q&A that, or not the Q, in the video reveal for this card, that lackey-centric cards are kind of going to fill in both the Shaman and the Warlock class. So expect to see more lackey synergies specifically in those two classes. And it is nice that they're sharing the love. This tells me they're probably not going to put a lot of lackey synergies. And I don't mistake that with lackey generation, but lackey synergies in Rogue. But I think that's fine. I'm excited to see what else pans out in this set that allows a lackey-based, maybe aggressive shaman to take place of the Murloc shaman that's dominating right now.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this card. I like this card a lot. A 3-mana 3/3 is good, but a 3-mana 3/3 that allows you to do, basically play a lightning bolt on top of it to target a minion is even better. And yes, like you said, lackeys will be coming to fill in the shaman and warlock spots. So I think you could see this card get plenty of play as well. Next up, we have what may be one of the most fun card reveals that we have seen ever in Hearthstone. And I want to just throw a huge shout out to former Hearthstone podcaster and good friend Alec Dawson from the Golden Wisp. Everybody knows Golden Wisp shut down because Alec got the opportunity of a lifetime to go work for Blizzard and Team 5, and now we get to see him actually doing a video on the launcher. It was fantastic, and we have a new druid spell called Bees.
No. It's called Bees!
Bees is a 3-mana common spell. Choose a minion, summon 4/1/1 bees that attack it. Now, some cool things about this card that have been brought up is the bees can attack the minion through taunts. They ignore taunt. And they could even, attack your minions if you had a reason for them to attack your minions.
So this card is amazingly versatile. You could throw down, say, an unpowered Steambot, and then attack your own unpowered Steambot to now have 4 minions on the board for buffs. Because unpowered Steambot has no attack, it will get damaged, but you're really worried about going wide, not how deep your shell is. Now, do you want to put it in a deck with unpowered Steambot? Probably not. Also, if there ends up being a more control-based druid or a combo-based druid that wants to draw a lot, like we saw back in the day, you could throw down an Acolyte of Pain and then Bees. And you draw 3 cards and leave a 1/1 behind. So, sure, it's not a great power play or anything, but it's going to draw through your deck really fast. I think this card is going to find a home somewhere. I think it's actually going to be a combo-centric card and not so much an aggressive card. I think to make it aggressive, you have to find a way to get the bees to stick on the board, and that's tacking into a 0-attack minion, and that situation is not going to happen a lot. So a lot of people are saying that Token Druid gets a tool. I don't think it's the Token Druid card. I think this goes into some kind of control shell that wants to draw, and you couple it. You either have it for early removal, or you couple it with Acolyte of Pain for extra draw.
So the community has already come up with a use for this, and Dave Cossack, I think, or no, it was Peter Whalen. Peter Whalen on Twitter confirmed it will work if you cast Bees on Linecracker. Linecracker is a 5/9 that doubles its attack power every time it overkills a minion. So if you run the Bees into it, it becomes a 10/8, then it becomes a 27, then it becomes a 46, then it becomes an 85, and then you can swing with the Linecracker.
It's because it's happening on your turn.
And the overkill counts. So now you've got an 80 attack minion on the board in the Linecracker from the Bees.
So you have to find a way to make Linecracker. If you can't kill Linecracker, they're probably going to kill you next turn.
That is correct.
Unless you have a taunt up.
Yeah. So we're looking at you can't cast actually you can. Yeah, you can cast Linecracker and Bees same turn, because I think Linecracker only costs 7. But
yeah, you can't
attack with it the turn it comes into play.
Exactly.
So you have to get it on the board, and it has to stick, and then you run Bees into it, and then you just smash them in the face for 80.
This once we see more cards from the set, might have to science this out one day because it seems like it might be possible, but it really depends on other cards that come out this set. That would be a very interesting. I did not know that. I didn't see that that clarification.
Yeah.
That while the Linecracker has to attack for the overkill, the coding actually is on your turn, not who initiates the attack. Okay,
Correct.
it's interesting.
Yep. So, all right. Next up, we have a new plague.
And this is the first card revealed for completing 25% of the Tavern Brawl this week.
Yes. This is the one for completing 25. So this is Plague of Madness. This is a rogue spell. It's a 1 mana. Each player equips a 2/2 knife with poisonous. So obviously, right out of the gate, this plague doesn't feel as strong as the priest plague that we looked at last week, right?
Yeah, and it looks like the mana costs aren't necessarily going to be blown out of proportion for the plagues like we initially thought. They said powerful, and a lot of people took that as mana cost, but this one is kind of on a lower power, which I'm fine with. But it has some versatility. A lot of people in our Hero Power Patreon community really weren't really on this card. It's like, why do you want to give your opponent another way to remove your minions? You know, it's not as it's kind of like the weapons project for Warrior, but more downside. But honestly, what if we were in a world that Rogue ran more of a stall-based, maybe a combo-based or control-based strategy instead of more of aggressive like they normally are, tempo. And you use this coupled with Harrison Jones to draw into more cards. Maybe this goes into a Pogo Rogue that's more a stall-based Pogo Rogue, and you want to get those Pogos into your deck, and then you throw out Plague of Madness to deal with a big minion that could threaten your game plan. And then you also Harrison Jones to draw 2 cards, which likely at that point would be 2 Pogos that only cost 1 mana. So maybe there's a home for this coupled with weapon removal. We also don't know what weapon removal's in this set. We might have some weapon removal that does some things that maybe draw you cards or give you armor like we've seen in the past. So
yeah, Ahmed Adam in our chat says, what about Plague of Madness coupled with Blade Flurry? Clear.
Yeah, well, no, because Blade Flurry does the damage, not the weapon. So we've tested this before with the poison spell. It will not put poisonous on the Blade Flurry, unfortunately.
Okay.
Unlike with Boomerang, it would, because Boomerang was actually the weapon was doing the damage, and then going back to your hand. Where with Blade Flurry, it just takes the attack of the weapon and does the damage, so it won't apply poison to it, which I wish it would, and I think it should, but it doesn't.
Okay. All right. And then that brings us to the 50% reward reveal for completing 50% of the bosses, which was the Psychopomp. Now, this is a epic priest minion. It's a 4 mana 3/1 with a battle cry. Summon a random friendly minion that died this game. Give it reborn. So a minion that's already died will come back, and then when it dies, it'll come back again. It just makes things really sticky in the priest field, because I mean, minions just going to keep coming.
This card kind of scares me a little bit. What was it? The Bishop, Black Bishop or something that resurrected? It's 4 mana 3/4 that resurrected a random minion.
Yes, that's correct.
And I could be getting the card name slightly off, but I know the stats are right. It's just like that card, except it has a 3/1 stat line, and it trades that for giving the minion it brings back reborn.
Yeah, Inked in chat said it's the Onyx Bishop.
Onyx Bishop, yeah, that's right. Onyx Bishop. Black Bishop, close enough. Translation. I like it I know a lot of people in the community really are getting tired of resurrection effects, and most of that's because of what's going on in Wild. How the big priest decks have kind of run rampant, and Wild's going to hate this card because you're going to be able to get back, say, a Ragnaros, and then it has Reborn.
Yeah, or even worse, a Sylvanas, which is now taking up to 3 minions from your opponent.
Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous. But I think in Standard as it is, without seeing many more priest cards yet, I think it's balanced. The fact that it has 1 health, I kind of wish the minion that it resurrected had 1 health. But, maybe that would make it too low a power. And we don't have any really big, heavy hitters to resurrect right now. But the heaviest hitter that I could think of is something like a Mechathune, but then if it is Reborn, then it won't go off. So that doesn't matter. And that's if a Mechathune Priest decided to come back in some way, which I don't think it will.
Yeah. Now, Gromok in chat says, assuming Priest will be better in the deck rankings next set in Standard. I mean, we don't know yet, but based on what we've seen so far, and we've only seen like 2 Priest cards, Psychopomp and then the Plague. I mean,
and the Plague kind of counteracts the Psychopomp, so I don't know if you'd even have that in the same deck, unless you're just destroying your minions, knowing you can bring them back with this and with the 9-mana resurrect spell, the Mass Resurrection. Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, Blizzard has a history of when a deck is not being played heavily in a meta, extremely overcorrecting that deck and making it really powerful in the next meta.
The thing is we need a minion like Obsidian Statue for it to be at a power level that pushes it to tier 1, I believe. Mm-hmm. I think if we get a minion that rivals the flexibility and the utility of Obsidian Statue, even if it's just a little less powerful than Obsidian Statue, then maybe that deck comes back. But we don't have that one minion we definitely want to have come back 6-7 times in a game. And Obsidian Statue was that because it was life gain, it was a big taunt to get in the way, and it was removal. So without something like that, I think if a card had 2 of those big things, life gain and taunt, or life gain and removal, or taunt and big removal, then maybe Psychopomp in that deck comes back. But right now I can't say it will.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see what else gets released and revealed, and then we can maybe make a better determination from there.
And by the time we get to all our cards being revealed and we start doing our reviews, my tone may change. So if you hear me doing the review on this card once we have all the cards out, and I'm saying it's going to be OP, that's because we've seen more of the Priest cards and they've substantiated that change.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the card reveals from this week. Now, as we said earlier, we're creeping in on that 75% reveal card, and the 100% reveal card won't be far behind. So, keep your eyes to Twitter. If you are in our patron-only Discord, you'll be able to see those as soon as they drop in our Saviors of Uldum reveal channel. If you have joined us this week, we want to say thank you. Thank you to all the new follows and to the cheer. We greatly appreciate it.
One quick thing before we go to the outro. We will not be doing a show next week, the 21st. Avanties is on vacation, and I have a family event going on that weekend, all weekend, so we will not be able to do a show that week. But that gives us 2 weeks on the 28th to come back and talk about some more cards before we finally get to the final dump and then the release of the set on the 6th. So our next episode will be the 28th, where we will likely be talking about some more of the cards that have been revealed before we get to the final dump, which they haven't said when it's going to be, but based on the schedule and Fireside Gathering starting on the 1st or 2nd, I think it is. I suspect we'll get the big card dump on that following Monday, the 29th. So we will see you guys on the 28th.
Right, yeah. So, all right. If you guys have any questions or comments about the show, please email us at heropowerpodcast@gmail.com. Again, we love to hear from the community, and we will read your emails on the show and try to answer them on the show. Please hit that subscribe button below on YouTube if you've not done so already, and give us a follow on Twitch to be alerted when we go live. And if you are interested in finding out more about our patron-only Discord, head on over to patreon.com/heropower. And Zerotio,
don't forget to use your hero power.
bye guys.